Hello everybody and welcome back to some more Hearthstone here on the channel. Gonna be hopping right back in with our Druid to try to get some more success like we had last time. We went 2 for 3. Ended up getting an Astral Communion out on the third game against a mage, but we're unable to draw anything good after that. I think we got a Gadgetzan Jouster and a Swipe. But other than that, we had a pair of really nice games, and hoping to continue this against a priest now. Would prefer to go second to get the Mech Yeti out earlier. That being said, we'll be able to do the Wild Growth next turn. Get it out on turn 3 and then buff it up turn 4. I had to give it 4 health and taunt, or else 2-2 and taunt. He's not going to do anything on turn 1, which is exactly what you want a priest to do, because the cleric, if they can get the cleric out and start healing it, that is very bad news. Had a couple of games that were very good thanks to that cleric though. And here we go with the Mech Yeti. It's going to be better than the 2-1 that he has on the board, and depending on what he plays this turn, could be a very big advantage going forward to us. I have enough mana to buff him up twice, potentially get him out of kill range. Unless the priest has a Shadow or Death, which means I will probably be... Alright, that's not good for us. Might just give him damage and then take that out. Clears off the board. Yeah, I'm gonna kill off the Blade Master. And go ahead and hero power him for 1. Takes one of his good combinations away from him this early, with the Blade Master and the Circle of Healing giving him back up to full health. He's going to summon something for 5 mana here, however, which is a Sludge Belcher. Alright. Not the worst thing that could have happened. We could kill it off, we could nourish. I think I'm going to do this to give us a Ironbark Protector next turn, however. Give ourselves 1 armor, not going to run it into the Sludge Belcher, however. We do the Protector next turn, we have some card draw, we have some Starfall. Could have given us 2 mana, but I would rather just use the 1 mana, summon the Ironbark this late in the game, and then use a Nourish. It'll be interesting to see if he can play anything that's going to stop us from putting out an Ironbark Protector and shutting down what we have. Blade Master is probably not going to do that, as it will still be where the Ironbark will kill it. And he doesn't have enough to kill the Ironbark himself. Going to throw out the Ironbark. Not going to innervate this turn, however. Maybe next turn if we need to clear the board and draw some cards. Could hit him once with the Ironbark and then put it in a stealth if he has... Actually, we would have to kill the Sludge, which is a 1-2, or is it a 2-1? A 1-2, which makes it a little harder for us. Unless we end up using the Starfall. Otherwise, we could buff up the Ironbark, putting it out of range, but he's going to summon that and a Northshore Cleric. And that's going to draw him a card, but he's going to have to trade most of his, or not, good cards on the board, I was going to say, into the Ironbark to kill it, but he will not. Instead, we can, what do we want to do here? Kill that off. Oh, we gotta do Starfall first. Which is all the same anyway. Do 2 damage to all minions. And I'm actually going to clear off the Cleric just to get the card draw out of the way. Innervate can't get us Nourish. I would rather take the damage to the face and be able to decide who I want to hit with my Ironbark. I'm going to give it 5-5 next turn, make it a 13-10. Someone's Dr. Boom. I don't think Dr. Boom's going to be really major against us. The last thing we want to do is Astral Communion, though. Could summon 5 Wisps and really mess with Dr. Boom. I think I'm going to Nourish to start out and draw 2 cards here. Or 3 cards. That's not going to help us. The Cub's not really going to help us. So we got a couple of later game assets. And I think maybe trade into Dr. Boom. Or we could not trade into Dr. Boom. Or rather just trade into Dr. Boom here. Put out an anodized Robo-Cub. Give it one extra attack. Do this. Kill him off. And that gives us some taunts. If he attacks the Robocub with the Boombot and it doesn't blow it up, we'll probably trade 2 into it. And that would mean that they get us down quite a bit of life, and we can put out a couple of Molten Giants. With Innervate, maybe buff them up. Instead of trading the Boombots, it looks like he's going to use his Hero Power, Light of the Naru for 3 damage. Light of the Naru again. It's not going to buff him up though because it's not healing. It gets us pretty low, but not low enough to where we can't do this to him. Clear off the majority of his board, and then buff each of these up with Taunt. Actually, we can only buff one up with Taunt. Hero Power, give us 1 damage and 1 armor. And no matter what, he can only Shadow or Death one of them if he has it. And we still have a buff for the other. He might still be able to kill us if he has enough heals. Fulgin, swap health with another minion, that's not good for us. Which, we still can survive here. He's got 7 damage, he needs to do 4 more to us. Actually, he's gonna kill off our minion. Which might be good for us, actually. A 6-7 and then a 2-3 with stealth. We get a Mech Bearcat. Innervate, give it +5/+5 and taunt. 12-11, hopefully he can't kill it. And hopefully we can actually draw some pretty good minions to go after him as well. Because Mech Bearcat is a pretty good counter for us, but it all depends on what we draw after that. He's got a big Game Hunter in there, alright. So we probably lost this one. And heals himself up to full. We're going to take 8 damage, bringing us down to 3. And we have a Sneed, but it is too little too late. End up dropping this one. And we'll have to try again next time. It does put us back down to rank 20, unfortunately, but hop back in with the Druid and try to get back up to rank 19 here. I'm trying to think of things that could potentially make this deck better. Maybe might just do a Rush Druid, take out a lot of his, or put out a lot of minions early on, buff up some of them. Might be just going into a different variation of a Druid in the next part of this ladder, as opposed to completely doing a new class, just remaking in a different way. That's a pretty good start, especially if we're going second. We get a couple Marks of the Wild and a Grove Tender. All in all, however, that could help us, the Wild Growth. Doesn't help us for a while, but if we had second, got the coin, and then we're able to bring that out on turn 2, it would help us a lot. Are able to ramp it up while he doesn't do anything turn 1, however. Turn 2 is going to be what really defines how he's... Turn 2 is going to probably be what is either really good or really bad for us. Alkaloid of Pain. Shouldn't really matter much. Astral Communion. Gotta risk it. The deck's built around doing Astral Communion and all that. Get rid of Molten Giant and both of our Marks of the Wild, unfortunately, but we are able to get the 10 mana crystals, hopefully draw this time into some really early, really good minions. He's not able to draw cards, probably off his... Give a charge, alright, that's not bad for us. not drawing off the Acolyte of Pain yet. Swipe. I'm gonna go ahead and kill that, so he can't do that. Unfortunately, he does draw a card from it. Deal 1 more damage to himself. Does get rid of the charge though on his smaller minions, which I feel is going to be a big part of his deck and what I've lost a lot of games to. Death's Bite, deal 1 damage to all minions on a Death Rattle. Alright. It's not bad for us because of the Molten Giants. Is going to be able to draw him another card, however. Put out a Mech Yeti. Might trade his weapon and his minion into it, I don't know. But it is a pretty decent minion, not exactly something I'd want to get out after Astral Communion, as it costs about the same as the Astral Communion. Really looking to get something high mana very soon. There he goes, draws himself quite a few cards. Well, only 2, but still. He has 9 cards in his hand, he can only draw 1 more. Which is a bit of a problem for him if he draws more off of these 2. That, alright. Molten Giant can't yet play it. Go ahead and hit him 1. Swipe would have been nice here. He would have overdrawn and lost a couple of cards. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything to help us mill this guy because he looks like a very millable deck. Unstable Ghoul, alright. So right now he doesn't have anything really big and scary that once we put this guy out is not going to be able to really do anything to us. Put out a Mech Bearcat, not going to give him the taunt. Go ahead and save the taunt for the Molten Giant. If he uses an Execute on the Mech Bearcat, that's actually pretty good for us. And Slam, draw a card. So he's got a lot of card draw in here, which could end up being bad for him. There's the Execute. So he used one of his Executes, which means he's going to have a hard time getting rid of the Molten Giant. He's going to have to throw everything he has at it and take 8 damage himself. Armor's up, alright. Back up to 7 cards though. Play the Mech Bearcat here again. Yeah, do this. He draws 2 more cards, he's almost overdrawn. But we don't really have a follow-up. He only has 12 cards left. I don't know if we are actually going to be able to overdraw him though. I'm going to go ahead and put out another Mech Bearcat. See if he has another Execute before playing the 8/8. If not, it's still a minion he has to trade a lot into. Warsong Commander into a Grim Patron, which isn't going to be that bad for us except for this guy. So he's going to get a pair of Grim Patrons. Draw another card down to 10. We have a lot of reusable cards. However, I don't know if what he's got is really good for him right now. Especially just going face. Because an 8/8 with taunt is really going to go against what he's doing. And do we kill off one of the Grim Patrons with the Mech Bearcat? I think so. Take him out. Freeze the other Grim Patron. And then might have been better off killing the thing that gives them charge. That'll probably be the downfall here. Summons an Armor Smith, not bad for us. Whirlwind. Okay, his Armor Smith's going to actually be doing quite a bit for him. Grim Patron's gonna repopulate but I don't know if that's really the worst thing that could happen to us, depending on what else he's got. Execute on the taunt. And he has lethal here, so there we go. So a Grim Patron deck, unfortunately, is able to beat us. But I think I'm going to make this deck a little more favoring on early game. After one more match here. So on the next episode we can try out a kind of a different version of the Druid than what we're doing right now. Because I had a lot of success on a rush deck that I made for a Druid a bit ago. It might actually be better, and we're going up against another warrior here. Get rid of everything that we drew. And we get a Cub and an Innervate, the Communion card would have been very good for us here to get us the 10 mana without losing really anything. Turn 3, Mech Bearcat. Looks like what we're going to be playing. We have the Robo Cub next turn, and then a Mark of the Wild to buff him up once he gets out. Give him 1 health so he has a better trade into that guy. Early Mech Bearcat, give him a taunt. Could do a lot of damage against the warrior. I could just swipe. No. Innervate coin, Mech Bearcat. Get him. Still behind the taunt wall as well, so we're in a pretty good position here. We could either buff him up or we could swipe to keep any real competition off the board against him. Unless this guy has an execute, which is going to be very bad for us. It probably does. And yes, he does. So there we go on that. And we get another Mark of the Wild. Which really, I'm just going to kill this off. Don't want him to draw any more cards than what he already has. And a bunch of swipes. He's going to put out Frostwolf Grunt and armor up, which is good for us. It's not really doing anything big. I'm going to put this out just to, I guess, draw a card and get another buff. I'm not going to do that. This gives us, don't really want to give him another mana crystal. Unfortunately, we did give him another card, but we have a minion on the board. And it was going to use a Mortal Strike, wasted on that. And just armor up, so that's his whole turn. Looking pretty good so far. Go ahead and buff up the Mech Yeti. Only use 1 buff on it though. So if he floods the board, we have a swipe. If he uses a bunch of spells on the Mech Yeti, if we take more damage, all it's going to do is get the Berserker or the Giant out earlier. Yeah. And he's got another Execute in his hand. Which all in all is admittedly a bit annoying, but we can still play around it. Starfall, I'm not going to do that. I don't really have any other cards to play. Except for just swiping. And Hero Power, we get his Berserker off the board. It's very good for us, so it doesn't get any more buffs. He's got 5 cards left. We have a pretty good advantage, though 2 of ours are spare parts. We got some board clear and a good minion after we take some damage. All depends on what he has. He's out of execute, so anything big we put out from now on is going to be pretty good for us. I'll take damage to the face here, but I am not too bad about it. Could swipe in hero power, gonna go ahead and do that. Eats up another board clear, we take some damage, but that gets us in range to where we can potentially use the Molten Giant. Keeps his board clear, not able to really put anything big out there. Shield block, so he's gonna try to outlast us too. He's got a lot of blocking spells. War Sun Commander again, and just an armor up. So, Ironbark Protector is probably better than coining into the Molten Giant. And we don't have anything to kill that, unfortunately, but whatever he brings out will probably just run into the Ironbark. Due to the fact that he's out of his really clears for any big enemies that he has. Next turn we can Molten Giant, give it a 10-10 with taunt, and we'll have a really heavy taunt wall that you probably can't break through easily. He's gonna throw out a charge. There's one of his cards, throw his War Sun and Immortal Strike. Alright, so he took his almost entire turn to get rid of the Ironbark. He only has 2 cards in his hand. Could summon 5 Wisps if we wanted to, which we are not gonna do. Did use both of his Whirlwinds though. Go ahead and put out the Molten Giant. I'm not gonna waste the Innervate on buffing him up because we can use the Innervate to give him 12, 13, 14, 21 attack, or not 21, 19 attack next turn if we wanted to. Or just really buff his health up. And Ironbark, alright. So I'm going to put out the Ironbark and Mark of the Wild instead. This Battlecry, equip a 2/2 weapon, not too afraid of that. Go ahead and hit him for 10. We have lethal on the board, I believe. 18. Actually, mana might get in our way. 18. 23. 27, so we don't have lethal. But we are getting very close to it, and we can kill off this guy without him being much of a burden with Starfall. He's going to continue to buff himself up. I will deal 5 damage to this guy. Innervate out a Mech Bearcat. A lot of damage to him. Brings him down to 20. We have 3 really big minions on the board and some buffs in the hand. We are looking very good right now. Just all depends on... he ends up conceding actually, so... there we go, we're able to end it off with a win, and we all in all go 500 on our Druid, winning half of our games. Not too bad, but not exactly something you want to do. It's kind of just a mediocre, so try to remake the Druid deck. We're going to probably do some Tavern Brawl tomorrow. And thank you all for watching once again, and I hope to see you all next time.